So we're continuing with the social media topic. We're going to have a panel with 3 social media managers, strategists. They have different titles. That could be a question, actually. Why do you all have different titles if you do pretty much the same thing? This is a question that have been asked to ask when I was preparing the session. And this year we decided to have social media, just as one part of this brand track. If you were with us for the past years, you know that we were having like a full social media track. Now perhaps social media is a little bit like, okay, so 2011 or so 2012, I don't know. But still very, very interesting, and brands still are not all embracing social media. So we are gonna now learn from 3 companies, Heineken, Ford Europe, and a consultant working at Audi. So I will now call on stage and help me welcome Jeremy Brook, Elena Cortesi, and Enrico Hanisch. All right. You have 1 mic for 2 or 2 mics? Okay, I'll give you this one. Yeah, 1, 2. Perfect. Okay, so we have 35 minutes altogether. Let's start with a little bit of introduction, because I didn't give you titles that are all different. So, Elena, can you start?
Well, good morning to everybody. And, well, thank you to LeWeb'13 for this kind invitation. It's always a big pleasure for us to share our way of working, ideas, etc. I'm the director for Ford of Europe for Earn and social media. Earn stands for everything that is not automotive. We started this, let's say, new strategy we implemented almost 2 years ago, and the idea was absolutely to follow what consumers want. And consumers, it's clear that they want to get information outside the specific business. So I'm responsible to develop and spread the Ford message completely outside the automotive. And of course, social is an integrated part of.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeremy Brook. I lead digital strategy and media innovation at Heineken. I'm based in Amsterdam. I worked at Heineken for the last 3 years, and before that, several years in digital, but mainly on the agency side. My role is mainly focused around looking at the digital transformation that our company, a non-digital brand, needs to make, and setting that agenda as far as 3 years out, and trying to track a path forward for Heineken and all our brands.
Enrico?
Yeah, hello to everyone. My name is Enrico, and I'm digital automotive consultant, working on agency side for Audi brand now since 3 years, and I'm within the German market at the headquarters in Ingolstadt near Munich, and I work within a dedicated digital team which cares all about the websites, the search marketing, and social media, and that's the part where I supported them. And yeah, looking forward to an interesting discussion.
And so as you hear, we have also a European perspective, because we all come with different accents from Europe. So
actually,
I might ask.
I'm from Australia originally, so not even Europe.
But still living now in Amsterdam.
A different accent.
Yeah, a different accent. All right.
And I think you understood I'm Italian.
All right, so, okay, Elena, how are you organized at Ford to lead this Earn and social media mission?
Absolutely. Well, I have a team of more than 50 people, just depending from me. This team is mainly divided in 2 groups. One of the key role is the content factory. So we have an in-house content factory producing assets. And then we have an in-house, I call it a blended team. That's the team supporting with media relations, social media implementation, etc. And within the blended team, we have incorporated the full social media team, where we have people following the specific channels. So I have a Google Plus expertise, a Facebook, Twitter expert, etc. And then the blended team and the content factory in a smaller size are replicated within the biggest markets that for us in Europe are the big five. So it's France, Germany, UK, Italy and Spain, plus Russia, because Russia is increasing a lot the importance within the European market. So how we work is quite easy because we are completely aligned with marketing. And well, in reality, more and more next year, it will be the digital first year where the two parts, communication and marketing, will jointly cover what's the content, the production of the content and the seeding of the content.
Okay, and we'll go back to this question of
Right, exactly.
content strategy. What about you at Heineken?
The biggest difference from the way that Ellen is organized is that Heineken have about 220 brands globally. So we have our biggest brand, Heineken, of course. So we actually have digital integrated into our marketing teams already. We do have at the center a dedicated digital team of people that work on the larger global brands like Heineken. But what you see is you have about 50 markets around the world that each are responsible for contributing to their local content for digital and social. And we do that with a combination of dedicated in-house people, but also dedicated agency people that work as part of an integrated team with our in-house teams.
Okay. And it's a good transition with you, Enrico, because you're outside of Audi, but working for Audi like for about 3 years. Explain us how you organize, and does that mean Audi doesn't have any digital team inside?
Yeah. There are people inside, but I'm supporting them, and I'm doing some creative work, some strategy support, and within the German market, which I can talk about, is it this constellation that there is a digital team which tries to integrate all launch campaigns over our digital channels. The website is the most important, but when it comes to spreading the word, it's social media or search marketing. So it's a dedicated digital team within the German market, and we are also in strong relations with other markets, for example, Audi of America or Audi UK, which are leading the way in social media or digital. And we are in very close talks, and we can adapt some best practices from them or some strategy advice so that it's formal and informal, very good consultancy.
So we have about half an hour for this panel, and first part will be what you're doing these days, and we'll keep like trends and perspective for the future for the second part. So could you all give us a few examples of successful campaigns you've run this year or last year that you find could be inspiring for all here in the audience?
This year we have run a lot of campaigns. For sure, the most successful campaigns are the one where all our audience is able to engage. This is one of the big secrets. So you can have the most fantastic asset of the world, but if the asset is not interesting, is not immediately shareable, well, then you lose absolutely the point. I would like to mention, just last week, we have launched globally, so it was 5 events in the world at the same time, the new Mustang, because the new Mustang will come to Europe also. And for example, for this kind of campaign, we started something like 3 weeks before the 5th of December with a campaign called Mustang Inspires that was going on all the channels. And the simple request to everybody was, well, show us what, the world Mustang is inspiring to you. And we collected, I think, the highest number of pictures, photos, and videos that actually are all on the Mustang fan page that globally has more than 4 million fans. And, in Europe, the big challenge was the fact that, yes, Mustang is an icon. It's a very strong, has a strong appeal, but at the same time, it has been never available to everybody. You could only impose, or it was only part of a very small market. So what we wanted is to spread the message to everybody, to reach, really even the audience that normally they are not coming to us, they are not coming to our sites, they are not coming to our dealers. And one idea we had was to create an extreme different content, something that was not really part of our way of working in the past. And I must say that it had a big success. So I have here with me a video. I would like to invite to show the video, and then you will understand the reason why people were sharing immediately. We can go with the video. Thank you. On the web, however. So if you go on our YouTube channel, you can see until the very end. To be specific, this is not an advertorial. This is a poor editorial content, and it's very far from what normally Ford is producing. Absolutely, it has a quality that is premium class. So the big challenge was, how can we try to position the car and the brands in a way where there is not a contrast with what is our DNA. I must remind everybody that for us, the most important is availability for all mankind. So from one side is, and the other is absolutely spreading the message to everybody. So,
sorry to interrupt, but you say it's not an ad.
No, absolutely, it's not an ad.
It's content.
It's content.
Okay.
Yeah, so perhaps to add something on this, as Elena said, the Mustang is a brand shaper of Ford, and when it comes to Audi, the brand shaper is the R8, and the colleagues from Audi of America created a very successful campaign 2 years ago. It was called Want an R8, and how they came to this marketing concept is a really nice idea, because once a woman twittered, yeah, she wants an R8 so mad, and she used the hashtag Want an R8, and the colleagues see that and take that hashtag and used it for their communication and built up a contest around it, and all hashtags, there were over 100,000 participants in the content with the hashtag Want an R8, and there were several stories with 8 winners about it and what's the principle behind it, and we even see it in Germany. Good ideas, good content, sometimes even comes from the fans and from influencers, and so it's very important before publishing that you listen and that you use your monitoring data to tailor your content, to get some ideas, to adjust your campaigns, and that's even for a premium brand important to have a clear brand message, but also hear what the community says, which topics they are most passionate about, and to use it then in a communication so that listen, publish, and engage builds up a circle.
Jeremy, perhaps can you give us some examples?
I think building directly on the hashtag work, which I love from Audi, we sponsor Champions League. You may have seen some of our work in that. I can see a couple of you in the audience that actually work on that, which is fantastic. We have this interesting challenge that nowadays, during Champions League games, 70% of our target consumers are watching those games at home. They're not out in bars. But the good news is that over 2/3 of them are using a second screen, or maybe even using a digital screen as their first screen while watching Champions League games. So last year we wanted to try and connect with these consumers, and we launched a hashtag called Share the Sofa. That hashtag means that we are handing over our Twitter profile, our @Heineken profile, to a legendary footballer. People like Ruud van Nistelrooy, Hernan Crispo. We had Owen Hargreaves on Tuesday night. And they take the sofa, one much like this, and they will interact with the fans while they're interacting with the game. So really, it's not about the brand talking about its message. It's about celebrating great football experiences and giving a unique perspective, something that adds a priceless and legendary quality to it.
A quick question for you, because this is a great example you're giving, but we all, I think we know a lot of examples coming from Heineken advertising that went viral, or campaigns you do in the street, and you take a movie out of that and you put it on YouTube, and then it becomes viral again, and also some new devices that you do come up, like a bottle opener. I think you had a campaign.
Yeah, the most recent example of a connected device that Heineken launched is actually something called the Ignite bottle. It's a regular bottle of Heineken, except it has a little component underneath it that contains LED lights, Bluetooth, and an accelerometer. And that's then connected to the venue. So if you walk into a nightclub and these bottles are there, the DJ has the ability to affect how the lights shine. Also, when you take a sip, the bottle interacts with your sipping and it does a little spark. And as well, when you cheers other people, it does something else. So it's one way we're bringing that to life.
Is it something really live and available, or is it kind of communication to be
So the origination of that product was that we'd seen some examples of connected devices. But rather than just launch any device, we wanted to set ourselves a business challenge. And the challenge was, how do we compete against premium spirits and champagne in a nightclub environment? And then we put an integrated team together, digital specialists, consumers, startups. We also had some design people in the team. And we set ourselves a challenge of 10 weeks from brief all the way through to market launch. Yes, it is a pilot, so we launched it at Milan Design Week, which was a public event for about 200 people, and then we've consistently used it at sponsored events since. There is a project in stream now to work on how it could be more broadly available, but at the moment we pair it with events where we have some already association.
Yeah, I think the examples from Heineken, Ford and Audi shows one thing. Even loved and well-recognized brands have to struggle to get the participation of the users and the fans outside. You have always tried to create once, twice, 3 times a year outstanding, never seen before content, and it's much more difficult when you have a product which is very abstract. When I talk for the car business, the car is the brand ambassador. It works out very well, but as Elena knows, on every car launch you have to do more digital experience, more involvement, and it's always a hard job for the agency, but also for the company staff to create the new idea, because cars are launched since many, many years, and so we are always struggling, and it's a hard competition even within the premium car market, and this competition pushes us to new frontiers, to new ideas, and it's very intensive, and it's a hard job in a daily work to create always a new and extraordinary idea.
Right, yeah, and absolutely this is true. And that's one of the reasons why next year we will kick off with what we call it the Command Center. The Command Center is fundamentally is a way to monitor 360 degrees what's going on around Ford world, what's going on around the automotive world, but also what's going on the world in general. So we will have a team of people, of course, supported by technologies that will help us on a weekly basis to know exactly what's the sentiment. So what people are talking about generally, what people are talking within automotive, what people are talking about Ford. And based on these analytics, we will then change, well, first of all, the calendarization of what we intend to do in the next month, and then we will adapt the launch of, for example, new model or the presentation of something else. Just to give you an idea, this year he was mentioning the Fuori Salone in Milano. Ford, for the first time, has been the only automaker to be able to show something inside the Salone. So we were inside the trade show, not of course with the car, so we were not talking about the car. We had our design team designing 3 lifestyle objects, a seat, an armchair, a lamp, and watch. And we held a panel discussion on the importance of the design into these social environments. So we were trying to go outside the specific automotive subject. So one of the suggestions that for sure I feel to give to everybody is try to set up your discussion and your brand also outside your specific environment. This is always something where you can then get and reach new audience, and you can get different messages that can help you to grow and shape better.
How do you, going to another topic, because I want to speak about the future, how do you all integrate mobile, or will see mobile platforms in general, not only a mobile device, but all the different like tablets and maybe in the future new kind of mobile device, either it's a new watch or glasses. How do you see them being integrated into your campaigns in the future?
I could probably start with that because the experience of drinking a beer will never be downloadable in an app. So
never say never. Careful.
Well, okay, to be fair, never say never. But you know, we would deal with a very physical, tangible product, and that product, you know, with the Heineken brand, is 140 years old now. It has the same set of ingredients and recipe that it will always have. And so for us, digital is a way for us to stay progressive. And if you talk about mobile specifically, this is absolutely the touch point that we're obsessed with. Campaigns like the Champions League campaign I mentioned before are really specifically now changing the content strategy from a mobile-first strategy. So our content is designed at tweet length. But I think for us, the real driver is looking at the consumer behavior. We really use personas and consumer understanding to decide how to go on mobile. And for a brand like Heineken, which is distributed in 173 countries, mobile doesn't mean the same thing everywhere. So what a Nigerian Heineken consumer can take on their mobile or tablet device is very different than, say, someone in New York. That's the biggest challenge we face, is making sure that we develop stuff that works at such a range of market developments.
Yeah, there's one nice phrase from the car industry. So years ago, the car was the most important mobile device, and now even for younger people, the smartphone gets more important. And depending from campaign to campaign, we try to use new kinds of mobile stuff to integrate younger users, to attract them, to retain them for our products. For example, for the Audi A8, we created a mobile campaign which works with Shazam, music recognition, and with a kind of geolocation service, so that if users come near to the target where the key was hidden, the heartbeat on their mobile phone, it was an Audi app, gets stronger. And so it combines the mobile usage with the geolocation services. And so we try to integrate it, but mainly it depends on the content. We try every microsite or every kind of digital campaign to work responsive, not depending whether you use it on desktop, tablet, or mobile phone. But I think, yeah, even when it comes to the car integration of mobile phones in the next years, there will be major enhancements, and it will be a very tough challenge for the car industry to get the frictionless integration of mobile devices, because buyers of today won't interrupt their mobile services, not when they are entering their car. They want a seamless experience.
Yeah, the same is absolutely with us at Ford, because we have a full integration of all our website and social channels, so you can see either on the tablet, either on the mobile, and on your laptop. it's also true that as he was mentioning, unfortunately, not all the countries are still at the same level with connectivity. So that's the reason why you still need to shape all the campaigns on all the possible devices. One thing for sure is that within our monitoring, we reserve a special attention to mobile, because as Enrico was mentioning, mobile mainly is the best device for geolocalization, and geolocalization will have a tremendous impact, most probably in the future, because more and more the consumers, they are not interested to be overwhelmed by messages of any sense, but they want to have messages that are pertinent to what they need, what they like, and all the geolocalization analytics will help any kind of brand, any kind of company then to address properly the message at the right time. In US, for example, we are already piloting, and we have some of our Ford dealers, the biggest one, they are organized that when the weather forecast is changing and maybe snow is coming, they are sending special offers for winter tires or whatsoever. So the business will most probably get a big advantage on thanks to mobile and thanks to all the, let's say, all the platforms that will go through the mobile.
Okay. There's kind of a new movement that I know a little bit called the collaborative economy. And, you know, on Monday, Jeremiah Owyang launched a new company, Card Companies, to gather startups and corporates around this new, about this idea of having empowered people, giving a new direction to companies and working with corporates. How do you see your brands being more collaborative in the future, and perhaps producing services that can be more collaborative, so social being integrated into your products? Okay, all your products are social by nature, like a beer is designed to be shared, because alone it's a little bit...
I think, Cedric, you hit on the main point, which is that it should be in our DNA and our behavior to understand the social characteristics of our business and our brands. And for us at Heineken, the first major effort that we said to actually bring a startup and consumers into a collaboration process was with the Ignite bottle. But we also have a platform called ideasbrewery.com. And this is actually an open source innovation center where we invite designers and members of the general public to contribute ideas in collaboration with us, sometimes for prizes, sometimes just more openly, to help shape for us what the future of beer brands and beverage brands will look like. So it's absolutely a concern. The one thing I would say is it doesn't replace the existing ecosystem of agencies or internal skills. It's about adding that layer to it. And I think the best results we see is when you can create an integrated team of all those players, so key external partners, the right internal team, and startups or consumers, depending on which, to provide the results. I don't know if you guys have had experience with this.
Well, at Ford, we have a program called App Developers, where everybody, each one can get access. And the objective of app developers is the one to work with startup companies developing apps. You know that we have on board of our cars Sync, that's the voice command entertainment system. Sync will evolve starting from next year with AppLink. AppLink is a software that will allow the voice command of the apps on the phone. Now, we have, of course, already launched big apps like Spotify, Sky, etc. But mainly, we are looking for local market apps. So just to give you an idea, 2 weeks ago, I think, in Italy, we started with a local campaign to reach startups, company and app developers to work with us in order to develop apps that could be pertinent for the local market. Because as I said before, more and more we need to go into personalized offers to our consumers. So absolutely, yes. We are very open.
Okay. Even if this kind of collaboration is not exactly what I meant with collaborative economy, where your products in itself won't be both, for example, but might be shared, and we won't have to own a car in the future, but maybe we will use our neighbor's car or just rent. But that's a topic I will leave aside for the end of this session. Perhaps one question about brand advocates. I don't remember who wanted to focus on this during the preparation, and how do you see brand advocates will evolve in the future? Will we have more people that become brand advocates thanks to all the social media, or just about the same? What's your point on this?
I think it's getting more important to combine both on social media, the mass communication over your Facebook page, the broad content you broadcast there to get the media spread, but also when it comes to targeted influencer outreach. We at Audi have a dedicated spokesperson, a press spokesperson, which only works with bloggers and influencers that also can be photographers, and we try to integrate them in our communication. For example, at events, we invited bloggers or photographers to do a shootout or a competition, and afterwards our fans on Facebook can decide this picture of the car is the best, and then the blogger gets a kind of physical reward or sometimes a digital reward when his picture is the cover picture of our Facebook site, for example. And yeah, it works out very well, but I think it depends on how present your brand is, how much it is about a love brand. When we as Audi reach out, we have some guys in the US which do blogging, which already created their own merchandising, and so we have to look with our legal company that they not sue them. Instead, they get in touch with him and try to get some of his ideas or incorporate his work even within our work.
Before you react, if you don't mind, don't you think you're sometimes a little bit late in finding new platforms for brand advocates? You're talking about blogging. Okay, bloggers are still here, but if I want to be a little pushy, bloggers might be dead in the future, and all will go on other platforms like short content, Vine, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. So sometimes brands perhaps wait until they see it becoming big before going there to find advocates. Is it a challenge for you? And then I'll let you react.
Well, I think you are right. You know, in reality, it's not because we are not sure about, you know, the powerful of the platform. In reality, sometimes we are guided by numbers. I talk specifically for Ford. I mean, we sell almost 6 million of units per year. So in the world, so anything we need, it has a massive impact. On the other, I must say that sometimes it's a problem of relationship and communication. Personally, in the business, I made a couple of interesting experiments where just trying with something new, at the end, it was bringing to the company such a big advantage. But you need really to move the internal resistance because in big companies there is this kind of attitude. But you are right. I mean, sometimes we are late. We are arriving on the platform that are already very well known. We are, for example, working with Vine, but still is representing a small portion of our business, and we should be more, let's say, we should tend more to something new, to try something new. Yes.
I think it definitely is hard for big brands to be first mover. And actually at Heineken, our strategy is to be the most inventive digital brand in our category. But We do that not necessarily by jumping on every new platform as it launches, but we do look to test and pilot new ideas on new platforms as quickly as is responsible. So, for example, in the last season's Champions League final, it was actually Brazil market. The Heineken brand was the first brand to do an activation on Vine. And actually, Twitter yesterday, for those who were here, presented it as a case study, which was nice to see. But we created bespoke digital 6-second content that reenacted the scenes of the Champions League final. So you had a all-Germany final played in London with a beer brand that's originated in Amsterdam being communicated to Brazilian consumers. And that for us is a good example of us moving fast. But we move fast there to learn quickly what works and what doesn't work, so that we can keep building that back into the other platforms that we maintain.
Perhaps only one word, a little bit outlook. I see 3 trends, and one is more specific for auto industry. The other 2, I think, are broader. The first is to really combine content with media budget. It never depends if you have a small company or a big worldwide company. I think it's crucial that you really produce unique content, but you also boost it via media budget. So the content is the king, but the media distribution becomes more and more the queen. That's the first one. The second one, I think, which the car business struggles, some other businesses already are further on that, is the connection between digital, social, and the physical retail. So you really have to figure out which is the role of social media. Perhaps in the car business, it creates more awareness, but not so much sales, because it's a complex situation. And the third one I mentioned is the combination of mass communication via social media and targeted influencer outreach. You have to find the right balance between these two parts.
I see a red number here. That means we're running out of time. I wish we had the opportunity to take questions from the audience, but we won't. But because you're social, you're all on Twitter, and we've given on LeWeb Twitter account all your accounts. So if you guys have questions, I'm sure you'll be happy to answer them, or they can find you after the green zone here, so you can answer questions.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you all.